Yeah, that whiteout is not snow. That was my big ass.
Bob McAdoo will come in and join us. We're going to be talking about the Braves today.
We promised you about 2 weeks ago that we were going to talk about the Braves, and today we have our special guest that we've been talking about for quite a while, Eddie Kotowski. Ed Kotowski, just an all-around sports nut with us at Infinite Prague Elementary School and Bishop Neumann High School, and many years after that. And,
Randy Old House, we played together in the same team there.
Great to be with you guys.
Yeah, this is fun, man. So, what'd you say, what old house?
Grandy Old House. It was our bowling team, right, Ed?
Ah, you scare me. Is that with Julia?
It was with Dave, Julia, and Marty, and Larry. And
I noticed you guys got 83 subscribers. That's
Yeah.
going to go down after this show.
we're going to lose a few.
Sorry, guys.
Especially
That's okay,
after
man.
the one
That's
thing.
pretty impressive, 83
Not bad.
subscribers.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting it. We need to go a little bit more mainstream. But Tommy, actually, I've heard from all the fans that Tommy's kind of holding us back. So.
No, it's whatever. Gonna have to let me go. The only thing we were going to start off with saying, though, just a little political right off the
Yeah,
bat.
yeah,
We're kind of this Pledge of Allegiance out there in Minnesota.
yeah.
We didn't want to say it and
Sounds
stuff.
like Sweden, right? Minnesota.
Minnesota. I don't know what's going on. This Omar and the Whack Pack.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little fed up personally with the anti-white man thing that's been coming from them.
Yep.
And I've had it up to here with the racism and all that stuff. Just because you don't agree with somebody doesn't make you a racist or a homophobe or a xenophobe or lactose
Something
intolerant or peanut allergies. You know, it's just ridiculous. Sometimes you just don't agree. But the Omara today, again, another comment about white guys. Listen,
Sorry.
we're good guys. We're good boyfriends, husbands, fathers, uncles, grandpas, and in some cases, even lately, we're good aunts and moms too.
That's right.
We'll get that in another show, though.
Well, you know, like some people get penile implants. I don't care. I'm not going to discriminate against a guy who can't get it up. I'm sorry.
That's right.
But I'm done with the lack of respect, and it's got to
Me
start
too.
coming back. I mean, these four wackos, right? If I have a phobia, it's wackophobia. Because these
I don't care what
wackos-
color they are.
Yeah, no respect whatsoever,
Yeah.
and it's a shame. But anyways, I don't know if you
Could
want
I,
to add to
could,
that, guys.
could I add something about Roddy Watson?
Sure.
Okay. So Buffalo News, Rod Watson, he had an article today that hits home with me because I'm a banker, or was a banker. And he's basically talking about how the local banks are turning down blacks more often than they're turning down whites. Now, this is not me being racist. Please hear what I have to say. They said, well, they had basically leveled the playing field in these situations on income, okay? And that's great. So what's the next thing? Because I worked in mortgage banking. It's your risk score, okay? And the bottom line is banks don't hold on to these mortgages. They sell them back to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, government agencies. There are minimum FICO scores or they can't be sold to the government agencies. So to say that it's because they're black, white, yellow, and it's not. Banks don't even know what you are. Banks say, what's the risk score? Do you have an ability to repay? And is the property worth what you're paying for it? End of story.
And Rod's misinformed too, because right slightly above blacks being declined are whites.
Right.
And leading the way with mostly approvals are the Asian community.
That's right.
And banks
So
don't
where's
care about
discrimination?
color. There's only one color banks care about.
Green.
Green.
You got it.
That's
Poor
right.
Ed came out to talk about the Braves, and now he's probably going to get.
Yeah. His friends are done with him now, so we're sorry, Ed.
That's
But we're done there. We're going to talk a little Braves. So Braves, for those of you, we've got some younger viewers who they were in existence from 1970 to 1978, at which point they got sold out from under us by one of the stinking,
John Y. Brown.
well, start
Paul
with the real
Snyder.
one, Paul Snyder.
Well, when you look back the history of the Braves and stuff, for you guys too, you young guys, the Odd got renovated. The Braves and Sabres came in the same year.
1970.
They blew up the roof. They raised the roof and made the Odd hold like 18,000 for basketball, 16,533 for.
Nicely done.
Right on. Right on.
And the Braves were purchased by a couple of stock guys in New York, and the deal fell through. And in the summer, the Braves, I don't think they had selected the team quite yet or whatever, but Paul Snyder was at the thing with his son, and somehow they got to talking, and Paul bought the team from these two guys that were going to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
And he had a team. I don't think he ever intended on keeping the team long. Paul's kind of a buy low, sell high kind of guy.
Yeah, real great guy.
And the Braves were a ton of fun. We led the league in attendance a few years. In fact, at one point, Bills, Braves, and Sabres all were leading
That's
the league
true.
in attendance, and that we were supporting them. There was some inner fighting there with the Friday nights were a big hassle. Now Friday nights are a great night. Back then, the Braves got them.
Braves wanted Saturday. They wanted Saturdays from the college basketball Little 3. They wouldn't give it up, and quite frankly, they should have gave it up. There were like 15 people there in those days.
No, not true. Quite honestly,
Are we going to fight on there?
Little 3 drew good, but there's not that many basketball games. That could have easily been worked
That
out.
could have moved.
If they talked to Star from Canisius, right, the AD at the time, he said,
Dembski. Father Dembski was the one really that
and he
Snyder
was
had
more than
beef with.
right. He
Yeah.
was more than willing, I think, to negotiate. And Sunday afternoons, the Braves wanted matinees. The Sabres balked because Sunday night
7
was
o'clock on Sabres was the
And it
It
mainstay.
was always
the problem keeping the ice good. The ice wasn't that good, but all the things that are so stupid that could have been
Yeah.
worked out. They don't play every Sunday night. And Little 3 was a big draw, but they didn't always play. It wasn't every Saturday night.
No, it could have been worked out, and I have a real problem with Paul Snyder. I'm sorry, I do. For all those who love Paulie and his Hyatt and his former freezer queen,
Well,
you
yeah.
can have him.
He
Had a
made
pretty
a
good frozen dinner.
Yeah,
They did. He made a big mistake because 2 years after the Braves left, the NBA took off. The NBA was suffering in the 70s,
Oh, yeah.
but in the 80s, the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and boom, it took off, and
Took off.
that franchise would have went. But let's talk about
Let's talk about when they were here. So they were here for 8 years before they became the San Diego Clippers, now the LA Clippers. And some just really, really exciting times for the Braves. So all of us here have some stories. I want to start with one, and please, you guys chime in. So I'll never forget this. I'm watching. We could not get by the Washington Capitals, but mostly the Boston Celtics in the playoffs. We just couldn't get by them. We are in a critical Game 6 with the Washington, not Capitals, I'm sorry, Bullets.
Bullets.
God, I'm thinking Sabres.
We used to be the Baltimore Bullets.
Yeah. The Bullets. And I remember we had timeout. We were winning by 1. And it was Jack Ramsey, and there was a huddle off to the side. And we were in Baltimore.
Before you go any further,
Yeah.
I know this.
You know what it is?
Hold on,
It's gonna
this
be.
is awesome. This is an awesome story.
I
So-
know it too.
They got him mic'd up in the huddle, and he's got Gar Hurd put aside. He's going, box out Wes Unseld. Unseld can't get near the boards, and he's going over and over.
Pleading with Gar.
Pleading
Just
with
box
Gar
him.
Hurd.
Was it Gar?
Box him
Shoot,
out.
It was
No,
Gar
it was
Hurd.
Gar Hurd.
I promise you. yeah.
So they go in, they take the shot. Gar Hurd, or Unseld gets the rebound, puts it up and in. Braves lose. I said that whole thing just epitomized to me sports in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Another time, a story for me. We're in the playoffs playing the Celtics, and John Havlicek was a phenomenal player. He was
Hall of
hurt.
Famer. I mean, it's just
He was
amazing.
hurt, and we're winning. We're winning the game on the parquet floor in that Boston Garden Nightmare Center. And Havlicek came off the bench in the fourth quarter and was just popping from the corner. And
No 3-pointer, by the way,
No, there
for
was
you
no-
young people.
no
they came back and beat us. And I don't know, I had to be maybe a sophomore in high school, probably. And I started crying. And my dad said, go to bed.
This is why Tom really didn't date till his 20s.
Well, right.
He
I
cried as a
actually-
sophomore.
You know, Tom,
No, I'm just kidding.
Wayne, the Braves won 137 games in that 3-year period
I know.
where they could not get by Boston.
No.
Nope.
And then they lost to the Bullets
Yep.
in the other series in the 7 games. But the first playoff game they ever played, they had a 17-point lead against the Celtics on the parquet going into the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And Dave Collins has 5 fouls.
So really,
Dave Collins scored 20 points in the fourth quarter, and the Braves.
And you couldn't
Why
get him
don't
out.
you take the ball to the hole
Yeah.
and foul them out of
he's
the
got to
game?
go. And what do? We start playing. We're shooting outside. We're not bringing in the lane.
And you wonder
then
why
he kills us.
I was crying.
No, that was one of the.
Well, I have one. We had one. My father, if you've listened to this show, he numerous times he's basically gone to Tom, who we used to work with back in the '80s, and said, I don't know about your buddy. I don't know about your buddy. Well, one day, I think I was about 15 or 16. I'm upstairs, and I got the little transistor radio, and the Braves are out west, and Ernie, you know, you got Van Miller, who was great. He was so descriptive and everything. Van Miller was one of the best ever. And I just remember this one scenario. Out to Ernie, up, no good. And then he goes back outside, over to Ernie again, up, no good. And I screamed at about 1 in the morning, God damn it, Ernie. And my father comes out of his room, and, what the hell's the matter with you? Well, yeah, just,
We were passionate.
yeah, we were.
On a positive, it was 74, 75. We were playing the Capitals here, and McAdoo put on a show.
You mean the Bullets?
Bullets?
I
I'm
did the
sorry,
same thing, I know.
He scored 52 points.
Yeah.
I think just before the game, he was given the MVP of the year and maybe the leading scorer
That's true.
trophies.
That's true.
And he put on a show, and I was able, through a good friend of mine, to. It's on YouTube. She put it on a disc. It's almost like a game.
Right.
I mean, he was unstoppable. And when Ernie, Randy, and them got that fast break going, oh,
You know, that year, the Braves won 49 games. They beat the 76ers in that little mini
That mini 3-game series. Yeah.
And do you remember the end of that deciding game when the lady was shaking the bat?
Shaking the
Or
bat,
McAdoo was shooting free throws.
Yeah.
And there's a lady pulling on
Which
the bat.
which today is a technical, and
Yeah.
nobody does
But
it.
he made him anyway.
But he made him
That's how
anyway.
good a player
there's
he
a
was.
tape
Well,
out
that's
there.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
There's a tape out
Dumb.
there. That was the 3-game series
Yes.
that we had to play.
Yes.
There's a tape out there you can get of that game, and it's broke down, and McAdoo and Jack Ramsey are like narrating it.
Oh,
And
oh,
Ramsey,
that's cool.
you can see him coming down the bench, telling whoever the referee was,
Probably
Randy
Garrison.
Rudolph,
Probably Garrison.
Daryl
that
Garrison.
ball.
I don't remember names like that.
Yeah,
And I can't remember Capitals. But he's come down, he's pointing to her, and we beat them there, and I think we came back here and finished them off.
No, that was a deciding,
deciding
game.
game?
That was a
Yeah.
deciding game. So then they play the Bullets in the next series.
Yeah.
And they win the first game in
Oh.
Washington. So here we go. We got home court. They come home and they lose right away. So it
Of
goes
course.
back and forth, and they play the 7th game in Washington. The Braves were never in the game.
No.
They were down like
First quarter.
35 points.
Not even close.
in the
We were
second
at your
quarter.
house watching it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was awful. It
Phil
was just
Chenier.
awful.
Well,
yeah,
that's what
Phil
was
Chenier.
just bombing them.
That never fails that you think, well, let's win the 6th game and we can come back in the 7th. And then you sit down and by the middle of the second quarter it's over.
You're watching something else. You turn the channel.
That was one of those spring nights, and you got all that hope.
The sad thing about that period was when the Braves were that good, those 3 seasons, the Western Conference was awful.
We're weak.
The Braves were probably about the 3rd or 4th best team in the whole
NBA.
NBA.
You're right, Ed.
And they couldn't win a series.
You're right.
Because they couldn't get by Boston.
Boston.
And then, of course, Washington went on to lose in the finals that year that they beat the
That they
Braves. They
beat
lost
us.
to the Warriors. But
I
that's
totally
Buffalo
agree with
sports.
you.
I
We
mean,
could have mopped up in the
yeah,
West.
you know.
But it is Buffalo sports. There's always something that
Yeah, because you had the Sixers, the Celtics, the Bullets
Yeah.
in our conference that we had to get
we
by.
just couldn't get by them.
You know, the Knicks weren't that good, but they weren't bad.
No.
Right.
And Detroit Pistons, they weren't too bad. It was a bunch of stuff for the conference.
It was basically the parquet floor. It just killed us.
And those white warm-ups with the shamrocks on the back and their nameplates, and they'd come out, and Heinsohn and Havlicek and
Yeah. Getting a little nauseous.
Collins.
Don Nelson, who
Don
may
Nelson.
may have been gay. I think he was gay. I really do. I mean, did you ever see the? Remember how he shot free throws with the one hand?
Yeah.
And I have the poster when we got screwed.
Yes.
The referee there,
Jojo
Garrison, called the foul JoJo White with time expiring.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it on this show. As I was in the first row of the Oranges, and I desperately tried to pull that thing right out of concrete
Yeah.
and throw it at Daryl Garrison.
Jack Ramsey went to, he was banging on the officials' locker room after the game,
I love
pounding,
that.
trying to get in.
I love that.
I
Yeah,
was-
he was.
I was there one night with the Braves. I don't remember what year it was. We beat the Knicks something like 140 to. And it was unbelievable blowout.
Uh-huh.
And beating the Knicks, and it was the most people ever at a game there. It was like 19,000
Wow.
people. And I don't remember was Mac on a team? I'm not sure, but everything was going in that night. Remember when the free throw would go in, the organist would
Yeah.
and God, those were the days. That was when basketball to me was basketball. The centers were centers, and
Well, you actually used the lane, not this schoolyard ball. Get down behind the 3 and woo!
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
and
Back
traveling. I mean, now I could probably do some of that.
These guys run through the lane. I mean, there's probably 3.5 steps.
But favorite, Ed, I'll start with you. Favorite Brave of all time. Your favorite?
It has to be McAdoo. And by the way, McAdoo in 1974 averaged 30.6 points a game and 15.1 rebounds. Nobody has done it since.
Right.
Really?
45 years
Right.
have
I knew
gone
he
by.
did that, but I didn't know no one's
Nobody's
done it
done it
since.
still.
Without
Oh
this
my
day,
God.
three-point
Without
play.
the 3
Without
point.
the 3-point.
I went to a playoff game against the Celtics the first year they were in. It was game 4. McAdoo scored 44 points, and some of these shots he was throwing in deep corner
Deep corner.
with no 3-point. 6'9".
Yeah.
You never saw a guy shoot like that
Never.
at that height.
I
Now,
can't.
of course, you got guards.
And
that
he
are 6'9".
he could play the big game too. He'd
He
go down
could.
down the middle and
He
stuff.
averaged 15 points.
Well, I was just going to say,
rebounds a game.
what Eddie just said,
That's
15
impressive.
rebounds a game,
And-
he sure could play down low.
And I'd like to know what his block shots were because he'd get 1 or 2 of those a game
Yes,
too.
yes, he would.
You know? And I would have to agree with you too. Bob McAdoo was man, oh man.
Yeah.
But a slight, real close to Randy Smith. I really enjoyed Randy's game.
Yeah.
He was just a warrior, man. And at 1978 NBA All-Star MVP.
Is that something? You know, I would have to say McAdoo as well because, let's face it, he's one of the best to ever live. But for me, obviously Randy from Buff State, that was great. But I'm going to have to go with Ernie D. I just had a soft spot with Ernie D. Little short guy from Providence. And man, that
He
guy
could
could
run
play
the floor.
basketball.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
He could run the floor.
great
couldn't he?
point guard. Man, he was awesome. And I had a lot of fun with him, watching him. And
Did you guys know one of the players on the team was a multi-sport player? One of the first to do it in pro sports?
You mean he played in another pro sport?
Yes, he did.
Wow, no,
Yes,
I don't.
he did. Eddie, you know?
Bob Kaufman.
Nope, wasn't Kaufman. By the way, a tough guy. Randy Smith played for the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
I was going to guess him because of what he played at Buff State too. Yeah.
All-American
And he was
soccer
coached
player.
by my wife's uncle, Dick Beer at Buff State. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Dick Beer. Wow, yeah, that's a
Beers.
legend. Legend.
Yeah.
Dickie Beer. You know, and but Randy, man, he was 6'3", but he when he first got drafted here, I think he was a forward, right? They played him at 4, and then they saw that he could play guard back there. But man,
He
Love
played
those
so
days.
much taller. Do you have a favorite Braves like memory of all the years, like of the years story?
Those are tough ones because we just didn't want to win a lot of series.
No.
You know.
I just know I enjoyed the games. I loved going down to the games. We were junior J.C. Penney Junior Buffalo Braves members, and
What did that get us?
you got discounted on the orange tickets and stuff, which
You used to get a dish of fried muckets too.
Let me
Right?
ask you, does the name Greg Luca mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Who's that?
Now, we were at the game. You were with me. Wayne, you were with me. And I don't know who else it was. He was an usher.
Greg
He
Luca.
went to Newman ahead of us.
Oh,
He was
okay.
kind of like a dorky kind of guy. So
Like
we
us.
saw him down there, and we were going, Luke, we were yelling at him, and we were calling him all sorts of names. And he waved us down and sat us on the floor.
No, I don't
Oh,
You,
my
remember
you
God.
don't remember that?
No, I
Wow.
I'm shocked.
Well, you know
guys
why I
don't
don't
know
remember Ed? Because many times we always bought the orange and then we
When we moved down.
Now
yeah.
back in those mid 3 years, you couldn't get
No,
down there.
no.
No.
But later on, as the team was
when they
starting
were
to,
early.
yeah,
and then
early and
later on,
late,
right.
it was like, okay, we're in the Reds.
Yeah.
Favorite moments, probably when I mentioned you guys before we got taping. Bill Cook was the sports editor of the News, and he would give me the floor seats. That was the late years. When they were
76, 77.
dismantling the team.
Tom was, I don't know if you guys know this, but he was kind of a big deal back then. You know,
Yeah.
Billy Cook and
Well, I got to
floor
meet.
seats.
I got to meet at the racquetball club that I was working at. They were developing this pro racquetball tournament between NBA players, NHL players, and NFL. And Joe Lamolier and Tony Green ran, and Shoney and a bunch of Sabres, and then Bob McAdoo. And tallest man I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm standing up. I'm 6 foot, and he's still way up there. But he was playing. And Randy Smith, just a great guy. And I remember talking to Randy the day he was getting a racket from my old boss Chuck, and he was leaving. The team was gone.
That's why Four Walls was so cool because we met all those pros. They used to play these, they called them like these benefit socials.
Right.
And the Bills would play the Sabres and we'd meet all these guys. It was awesome and they were really down to earth
You're
people.
right there talking to him.
Talking
It was
to
really
him.
cool.
And then the money would go to charity. It was absolutely awesome. You know, a lot of guys bagged, plastics, paper or plastic and all that. We were lucky enough to work in a racquetball club. First
Right.
one in New York State too.
Yeah,
Well, let's
it
go
was.
on with your Billy Cook story.
With the Sean Nader.
Well, you were going to say, yeah, well, the one you were talking about outside. So you got tickets from Billy Cook.
Billy, and one of the games we were playing the Iceman comment, the San Antonio Spurs. They had merged, and George Gervin, who was like a 6'6" guard, which was unheard
Hall of
of.
Famer.
Smooth as silk.
Great
and
player.
They're killing us. And the crowd's all over, and of course Nader, he's filling his shoes of Mac and all these guys that are gone. And he's taking the heat. Well, he jumps and steals the ball, and he goes in and he takes the ball and he bounces it off the top of the rim, jumps up and he slams that. And I thought the backboard was going to come right off the ground there. And it was like a F you to the fans.
Yeah, it was
you know,
as if to
just-
say, "Stop it, man! I can't help it." They
And he
brought
was
me in.
frustrated too. Yeah, I felt for him. I think the coach was Cotton Fitzsimmons
Yeah,
or
Cotton
something.
Fitzsimmons.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They
I remember him
dismantled
from
our
the
team. We had
Hawks.
Moses Malone here.
I
And
can't.
this John White Brown, Paul Snyder sold it to this Brown, and he just started bringing in these ABA, the Old American Basketball Association. He had love affairs with certain players. Adrian Dantley, an unbelievable power forward,
Oh.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
We trade for Billy Knight.
Billy Knight
It
from
was just-
Indianapolis. Where did he
Well,
play?
he played
Yeah,
in
Indiana
Pacers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pacers.
Yeah.
You know,